Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Jason and Carly's night on the footbridge. Exes drink and plan what's next. General Hospital. DHS spoilers reveal that Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, will have a lot on his mind, so he'll want to do some thinking on the footbridge. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright will join Jason as they have an intriguing night together. So let's talk about what's in store. Jason and Carly will crack open a couple beers during this footbridge interaction, which will loosen them up as they consider all their problems. There's always a chance of some lowered inhibitions when alcohol is involved, so that's important to note. Carly and Jason are BFS, but they're also exes. If Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bennard, hadn't come home from Nixon Falls, Jason and Carly were prepared to spend the rest of their lives as a married couple. That plan obviously didn't pan out since Sonny returned when he did. But the point is there's a romantic history here. Carly and Jason have agreed they're better off as friends, but it might be interesting if they surrender to a kiss anyway. After what happened between Drew Quartermaine, Cameron Matheson, and Willow Corinthos, Caitlin McMullen, during the fireworks show, anything is possible. Heat writers seem to be making an effort to throw in more surprises lately. However, it's also possible this will be a simple case of two besties sharing a brew as they do some strategizing. Jason and Carly's night together will indeed turn into a strategy session as they debate what's next in this whole FBI mess. No matter how things play out, it'll be fun to see the footbridge again and listen to what these two have to say. Carly and Jason have certainly been known to bicker about tactics, so that may be the case once again. Based on our GH predictions, both Jason and Carly will make plenty of risky moves as this FBI storyline moves along, so we'll bring you updates on all the bad news that's brewing. General Hospital spoilers say Carly and Jason will get tangled up in more trouble, so stay tuned to the ABC soap. The night was warm, a stark contrast to the recent turmoil in their lives. Jason Morgan leaned against the familiar footbridge, the place that held so many memories for him and Carly Corinthos. The soft glow of the streetlights reflected off the water below, casting ripples of light across their faces as they stood side by side. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with the unspoken understanding that only years of friendship and shared history could bring. Carly glanced at Jason, her expression a mixture of nostalgia and sadness. "It's been a while since we did this," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of their past. Jason nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Yeah, it has." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a flask, offering it to Carly. She took it with a small smile, unscrewing the cap and taking a sip before handing it back to him. They stood in silence for a few moments, the sounds of the night enveloping them. The distant hum of traffic, the chirping of crickets, and the gentle lapping of water against the bridge's supports created a serene backdrop for their thoughts. Carly broke the silence first. "Everything's changing, Jason. Sometimes it feels like we're the only constants in this crazy world." Jason took a long drink from the flask before responding. "We've always been there for each other, Carly. No matter what." He turned to face her, his blue eyes intense and sincere. "And we always will be." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know. It's just, with everything going on with Sonny and the kids, and now all this business with Cyrus, it feels like we're always fighting battles. I miss the days when things were simpler." Jason chuckled, a rare sound that made Carly's heart ache with longing for the past. "When were things ever simple for us?" She laughed too, wiping away a tear. "Good point. But still, it feels like we've been through the ringer lately." Jason's expression grew serious. "We have, but we're strong, Carly. We've survived worse. and we'll get through this too. He paused, looking down at the flask in his hand. We just have to stick together. Carly placed a hand on his arm, her touch warm and reassuring. Always. They stood there for a while longer, drinking and reminiscing about the past. The memories flowed easily, each story a reminder of the deep bond they shared. They talked about their kids, their loves and losses, and the battles they had fought side by side. As the night wore on, the conversation shifted to the future. So, what's the plan? Carly asked, her tone more determined now. How do we deal with Cyrus? Jason's jaw tightened at the mention of the drug lord's name. We need to be smart. He's dangerous and unpredictable. But he's made a lot of enemies. We can use that to our advantage. Carly nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. We need to find his weaknesses, exploit them. And we need allies. People we can trust. Jason's gaze sharpened. I'll talk to Spinelli. He can dig up information on Cyrus, find out who his enemies are, and what leverage we can use against him. Carly's eyes sparkled with determination. And I'll reach out to some of our old contacts, see if anyone's willing to help us. We can't do this alone. Jason nodded in agreement. We also need to keep an eye on Sonny. He's not himself right now, and that makes him vulnerable. Carly's expression softened at the mention of her estranged husband. I know, he's been through so much, but we can't let that cloud our judgment. We need to protect our family, no matter what. Jason placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch steady and reassuring. We'll get through this, Carly. Together. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and resolve. Together. The night grew cooler as they stood on the footbridge, the weight of their plans settling over them. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, filled with danger and uncertainty. But they also knew they had each other, and that gave them the strength to face whatever came next. As they prepared to leave, Carly turned to Jason with a small smile. Remember that night we first met here? We were both so lost back then. Jason nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. Yeah, but we found each other, and we've been finding our way ever since. Carly's smile widened. Here's to finding our way again. Jason raised the flask in a silent toast, and Carly did the same. They drank deeply, the warmth of the alcohol spreading through them, mingling with the warmth of their shared resolve. As they walked away from the footbridge, side by side, they knew the path ahead would be challenging. But they also knew they were not alone. With each other, they could face anything. Together, they would find a way to protect their family and reclaim their lives from the chaos that threatened to consume them.